Hello, everyone. Real Madrid finally returns to La Liga action after the FIFA break. Although, unfortunately, Bellingham and Tchouameni will not be part of the team for tomorrow's match against La Real Sociedad. Let's hear from Carlo Ancelotti.
Tell us, how is the team preparing to face Real Sociedad after the FIFA international break?
We're very aware that starting tomorrow, a very difficult and tight schedule of matches begins. And with tomorrow's match, we want to start playing well. We've been able to recover some players. After the break, we're always excited to compete and win games. And we'll try to do that tomorrow against an opponent that has always been tough and hard to beat. But I think we're ready for the match.
What do you do to help Vinny play better football than he does with Brazil?
I think right now he's not in his best form, but he's very important for us. He played a key role in the UEFA Super Cup match by providing an assist. It's true that he hasn't scored yet, but we're in no rush. The team has scored goals, and he's been important. The last thing we're worried about is that. Personally, I'm not concerned. Vinny always works hard and always gives his best. So it's just a matter of time before he reaches his top level.
How are Bellingham and Tchouameni? Will they be ready for the match against Stuttgart, assuming they won't play tomorrow?
No, I don't think they should play tomorrow because it's still too soon for them to play. They trained a bit with the rest of the team. In the next few days, we'll see if they can be available for the match next Tuesday.
Rodrygo has shown his frustration for not being included in the Ballon d'Or nominee shortlist. He also said he feels uncomfortable in Brazil because they place him in different positions. Don't you think it could be a virtue, rather than a flaw, to use a player in various positions? Do you think Rodrygo deserves more recognition?
I think Rodrygo hasn't been valued as he deserves by not being included in the Ballon d'Or nominees list. And I can understand that he's upset about this because he undoubtedly deserved to be shortlisted. I think someone forgot what Rodrygo did in last year's Champions League, scoring 2 goals against Manchester City, and he's always very important. So I understand him. Now, being versatile for a team is a virtue, and we are fortunate to have a player who can perform excellently in different positions.
A few weeks ago, you said that Rodrygo's social media message was false and that you had spoken with him and everything was fine. Aren't you concerned that Rodrygo is always trying to compare himself to how good Vinicius, Bellingham and Mbappe are?
I think for him, comparing himself to those players is a motivation. And for us, he has great importance in the team. For me, as the one who chooses the players, he has the same importance as all the others. I don't see any problem, and he hasn't told me he has an issue in that regard. He's never talked to me about it.
Some players grow from criticism, while others are negatively affected. Do you think criticism helps or hurts Vinicius and Mbappe?
I don't know. I think that's something you should ask them, not me. I don't see them affected by criticism because they train well with the team and they're happy. Mbappe is improving little by little every day. And I think he's already in good shape, just like Vinicius. Many people forget that they only started their season on August 9th. A month ago, they were playing many matches and couldn't do the preseason. But their physical condition has improved by playing matches, and I think they're doing better and are happy.
You've said before that the key to the team is having a healthy atmosphere, and that they're more friends than teammates. Does your experience allow you to detect if there's any jealousy among them? Do you think Rodrygo could have issues with jealousy toward his teammates? Have you detected any signs of this?
Of course, I would detect it, not it in, and will, if any problems of that kind arise, but I don't think that's going to happen. We don't talk about other players when they're away with their national teams. In the locker room, we continue to have a very healthy atmosphere. We have players who are improving and will have more responsibility, like Vinicius, Rodrygo, Valverde, or Tchouameni, who are young players but not the youngest ones. So they need to take on more responsibility in the team, and they are doing so.
There are many absences in midfield, and we know Valverde and Luka Modric will be available. Will Güler be available, who played very well with his national team and even scored a goal last season against this team? Will Brahim play, as he also performed well with his national team?
Yes, that's a good question. And it's precisely the doubt I have. I can't tell you more, because if I've said I have doubts about this, it's because I do. It's possible we might change the game system for the match. In the last game, we played with 3 midfielders, and it didn't work out well. Now, so I have to think about whether to change the system or adapt the players I have to play with the 3 midfielder system.
A few weeks ago, you mentioned giving rest to players returning from the FIFA break. Referring to Vinicius as an example, will you apply this new rule for tomorrow's match? On the other hand, we've seen players staying with the club instead of going with their national teams, like Rodrygo, Mendy and Tchouameni. Is this a request you've made for players to prioritize the club more?
Rudiger has had 5 days of rest, as have other players. But other players who were injured stayed here to work on their recovery process. Now, we have 7 matches in 20 days, so we'll need to rotate, and that's fine. We'll have to pay closer attention to the players who traveled the furthest and just returned on Thursday. We'll see if they can recover well. Rotations will be very important for the upcoming matches.
How important are the players who played the most during the FIFA break, like Brahim, Arda Güler or Modric? Do you think Arda Güler could play as a defensive midfielder?
Arda Güler cannot play as a defensive midfielder, but he can play as a pure midfielder, which is a position he can work on. We have to train him because it's a position he hasn't trained much for, but he has the qualities to play in this position instead of just being an attacker. He's resilient and has a lot of physical quality. However, as a defensive midfielder, he can't play because he doesn't have the defensive characteristics required for that position.
Speaking of midfielders, what is needed to be a natural midfielder? What do you ask of a midfielder?
I ask them to defend and attack. It's not really that complicated, you know.
You previously said that during this season, Arda Güler would have more prominence. How do you think the start of the season is going for him?
Well, I think he's doing well. He played well in the match we had against Valladolid for 60 minutes. The fact that he's going to have more prominence this season is a reality. But being an undisputed starter is more complicated. Because in this team, there are no undisputed starters. That's how things are in this team. That's just how it is.
Valverde recently said that his shyness holds him back from taking on more responsibility. Over the years, he's spoken about his shyness, which is why he hasn't taken a bigger step forward. If he could overcome his shyness, what kind of player do you think we would see on the field and in training?
Valverde's footballing level is very high, really. I don't know if he's shy or not. Maybe he is. But what I can say is that he's a player who has taken on more responsibility every day in the locker room. As I've said before, regarding the team's atmosphere, we've lost important players like Toni Kroos and Nacho recently, and before them we lost Casemiro and Karim Benzema. But we have other players who are evolving in this area, and Valverde is evolving. As for his past shyness, I don't know, but today I don't see a shy player. Valverde has tactical intelligence, strength, quality. He's a spectacular player.
A Saudi Arabian club official publicly acknowledged that they made an exorbitant offer to try to sign Vini. Knowing this, do you think there could be a relationship between this offer and Vinicius's performance at the start of this season? Is it possible these temptations have distracted him from focusing on football?
I really don't know if this offer actually reached Vinicius. This is something I don't know. I talk to him daily, as I do with all the players, and we've never spoken about this subject. I see that Vinicius loves playing football so much that anything happening externally won't distract him or take him away from his objective, which is simply to play football.
You recently said you're concerned about the 7 matches the team will have in a few weeks. How do you plan to rotate the players in the team? On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about injuries to your players? Because this marathon of matches doesn't end, as there will be another FIFA break after that.
It's not really that we're worried. We're used to playing 7 matches in a row. But analyzing player fatigue is very important. Obviously, we have to carefully analyze the players who just returned on Thursday. These are the Brazilians Vini, Rodrygo, and Endrick. They haven't had time to train or rest, so we'll make a decision tomorrow. Fatigue analysis is vital to avoid injuries, but injuries will undoubtedly come. Last year we suffered many, but we managed to endure and eventually overcome them.
Why do you think Vini doesn't perform the same with Brazil as he does with Real Madrid? Do you have an explanation for why this happens with him?
The explanation for this, well, I don't really want to go into this topic, but I can tell you that the problem isn't individual. It's more of a general collective issue. That team struggles to show its best version. This isn't about Vini playing poorly with Brazil and well with Real Madrid. So no, it's not like that. It's a broader issue. We are delighted with Vini. Now, some may think he's not at his best right now, and maybe we can agree on that. But no one should forget that Vinicius is the one who helped us to win 2 Champions League titles. So if he's not at his best now, we show him a lot of love here at Real Madrid.
Gracias.